Yes, all right. Welcome back to Kosi's Arsenal podcast. My name is Kosi, and how are you guys doing? I really apologize for the lack of content for the past 24 hours. I never had internet, and also my computer was down, but now everything is okay. And we can get the ball rolling. Smash the like button if you're watching this video, and of course, if you're new to the channel, I implore you, I request, please move your fingers to the subscribe button and press the subscribe button. Also press the notification bell so that you can actually receive all the notifications whenever we do upload. It is Kosi's Arsenal podcast AFC news show where I give you much of the updates around our club, because I'm a Gooner just like you, or just like most of you. I know some people do not actually support Arsenal, but they support me as a person and they really support the channel. So smash the like button and get your subscriptions in. Comment about what we are going to talk about, and these are just two big stories that are actually many Arsenal fans would want to hear, or at least I would want to hear about this. Arsenal getting a striker, and we are linked with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. This is a striker we have not been linked with so much, and Chris Whitley has something to say. We are going to be going down there and see what Chris Whitley was talking about, one of those journalists that are, boy oh boy, he is on point. And of course, we have a story about Martin Odegaard. He does talk about Martin Odegaard. Arsenal still interested in getting Martin Odegaard on a permanent deal, as well as getting a striker in the summer. And one of the names mentioned there, like I said, is Dominic Calvert-Lewin, or Calvert-Lewin. Dominic, he's a sensational striker, isn't he? Let us see what Chris Whitley actually speaks about this story. When he's asked, is there any chances of Odegaard joining on a permanent deal, or Calvert-Lewin joining Arsenal? And he did say that a decision will be made on whether to pursue a deal for Martin Odegaard once his loan spell ends. It's dependent on his performances over the next few months, but he has a good chance, and he looked bright when he came on against Aston Villa. When he was asked about Calvert-Lewin, he said Lewin is an excellent player, but Everton would command a huge fee for him, so I don't think that that one is going to happen anytime soon. That is according to Chris Whitley, speaking to Football.London. Of course, an excellent journalist, and I really give him a lot of credit there. Two big stories: Martin Odegaard, Calvert-Lewin. First and foremost, what do you think about these two stories, guys? Lewin is a superb striker. Of course, when I speak the word Calvert-Lewin, many Manchester United fans really get echoes in their teeth. That 3-all draw, that point that really, he grabbed for Everton, in the 90s. Manchester United still feel they should have won that game, but of course it was a late equalizer from, the brilliant striker, and he has had a very, very good season. Martin Odegaard, a player that I think we have seen for few minutes, but all of us are really convinced that he has the talent, he has the ability, he has the capability to play in the Premier League. He has all the abilities to fit into the caliber of a player that Mikel Arteta actually wants. So before I go into my own analysis, I want to ask a question. What do you think about these two players, Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well as Martin Odegaard? Do you think we could do very well in the summer if we got them to sign for Arsenal? And I'll start with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, because I think I really talked about Martin Odegaard, and I want to talk more about him, especially in depth. So I'll start with Calvert-Lewin. I think he's a very good striker. He has a fantastic season. I don't want to say he's a very good striker, because I think we have seen him for one season, on the rise. Yeah, one season on the rise, and I think he's having such a tremendous season. But I have one problem with Calvert-Lewin. He feeds off aerial balls, and Arsenal, it's not one of those clubs that really are really good at swinging in those good aerial balls. I don't think we do it like Everton do it, and I think that's the reason as to why he's scoring many goals. They give him that those aerial balls that he really feeds off. He's like a Cavani, something like that. My question is, can he do well in a team like like Arsenal, where Mikel Arteta wants his team to press and then produce balls through breaking the lines? Can he actually perform at a club like that. If he can, if he can perform in such an environment, then for me, I have no problem with him. I think he's a superb striker. But that's my only question. That's my concern with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Is he, is he this kind of striker that is all way round, or is he going to be an undercarrow that if you don't give him aerial supply, is actually really not going to give you the goals? And maybe the other question I have about Dominic Calvert-Lewin is, we've seen him for one season, and Everton would want to say, I'm gonna ask for what, 70 million, 60 million. Yeah, you might, it proves a point. Even if they ask for 70 million, it really proves the point. He's a player that has had so much of a good season. But can he replicate his performances this season with another season? Can he be that hurricane, that consistent goal scorer in the league? Because he's been at Everton. I think this is the third season. And this is the only season where we've seen him as a striker who can score goals, as a striker who can make a difference at Everton. Is it the presence of James Rodriguez? Is it the quality behind him, Alan Rodriguez and Doucouré? Is it the reason as to why he's scoring goals? But I think for this season, if you're rating strikers, then he is one of the prolific strikers you can talk about in the league. Martin Ødegaard, permanent deal. This is a story I've wanted to do all along, but I didn't get a trigger. I wanted something to trigger me, and here it comes. Chris Whitley saying that Arsenal will be looking at the ends to pursue a permanent deal for for Martin Ødegaard in the summer. And of course, we have an advantage if Zinedine Zidane does not leave Real Madrid. We have a big advantage that we might get Martin Ødegaard, because he doesn't really fancy the player, and that works in our favor. But is it the kind of player that Arsenal need? I think my answer is going to be yes. I think we've seen him at Everton. For me, I want that person, that kind of player that can help Arsenal control games, the Santi Cazorla kind of type, the Eden Hazard, the Jack Grealish. And I told you, I was so impressed with Martin Ødegaard to an extent that in the first half, Jack Grealish controls the game for Aston Villa, and they're so comfortable. Even when they're 1-0 up, they're not concerned, because Arsenal rarely actually have the ball. Whenever we get the ball, Grealish and his army, get it back as soon as possible. So he makes them that comfortable. He controls the game for them. Now, we needed someone like that, and I said it in my halftime reaction, that now Arsenal need to get in someone like Martin Ødegaard to control the game. And I think when he comes on, all of the second half, it is Arsenal, and we did control the game to the maximum. So I think he's that kind of player that Arsenal really need, a player that can control the game, press that ball forward, and of course his technical ability, the way he revs around, the 18 years box, he's that kind of player that that Arsenal have been missing. I don't think players like Granit Xhaka, Dani Ceballos give it to us. I think they're more of the Fred kind of type, pass sideways, trying to attract the enemy. But whenever you face a low block, whenever you face a team that is not willing to unpack the bars, then you need to break the bars down. And I think that's where the abilities of players like Eden Hazard, the abilities of players like Martin Ødegaard come in. That is where they come in. He's a little bit different from Emile Smith-Rowe, because I've already said that Smith-Rowe is so talented, very good. He can be that Kevin De Bruyne of Arsenal, and I think Ødegaard cannot be the Kevin De Bruyne of Arsenal. He can be a David Silva kind of player. I think he can be that kind of David Silva kind of player. That number 10 that is always loitering all over the pitch, but at the end of the day, he does the number 10 things. And I think Emile Smith-Rowe can be the number 8, that kind of player that loiters around the pitch, stretches play, brings it back, looks for the defenders, adds them, links them into attack, gets our wingers, gives them a lot of space, releases all those, passes for the fullbacks. I think he's that kind of player. And I think Ødegaard, we shouldn't be looking, because look, in the summer, we wanted to sign Felipe Coutinho and how Sema were. Those would have been brilliant signings, wouldn't they? But now we are looking at Martin Ødegaard, 22, 23 years of age, a player that can be at Arsenal for the next 10 years. Seriously. Okay, for the next 8 years. delivering. He has a big resale value. He's very talented, and I think he is. I don't know, but I don't see him as being affected by the new environment at Arsenal. And I've already said it and I've said it again. It's not really undermining my club, but if you're a player and you come at Arsenal right now and you do not deliver, there is something wrong with your football. There is something wrong with you. And I think it's quite evident that players like Mohamed Elneny, they're just not good enough. There is something that is lacking in their talent as players, in the way they play football. They're just not good enough. It's what they deliver, what they give us is just not good enough. And we said that before, and I'll say it again. If you come at Arsenal right now and you do not deliver, you're too poor. Maybe if you're a striker, because I think Aubameyang can overshadow you. Alexander Lacazette is also another source of competition. But if you're a midfielder, how many good midfielders does Arsenal possess, and that can actually overshadow you in that midfield? And I think against Aston Villa, I'm looking at this Martin Odegaard, who overshines Partey, who overshines Emily Smith-Rowe, who overshines everybody, who overshines Willian. This kind of player that asks for the ball, drives it forward, and I like the short passes. I like his, those very, very short passes. He plays everyone in. Pepe, he tried to play Aubameyang in. Aubameyang is very, very unfit. But if you give him a good striker, a striker that can make the runs, and I think that's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. If there is anything that Mikel Arteta has to do homework about, is how is he going to release or unleash Martin Odegaard and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, because the abilities of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang are 1 or 2 or 3. Okay, one, he's very clinical, so that means Martin Odegaard will get a couple of assists on his name. The other thing is his positioning, his running is very, very good, better than that of Alexander Lacazette. Of course, with a lot of respect to with a lot of respect to Alexander Lacazette, but I think Aubameyang is better, when it comes to positioning and the runs. And I also think one of Aubameyang's abilities is that ability to play with the number 10. Because why I don't like Lacazette as a striker, he falls too deep to an extent that you can't look for him as a number 10. Now, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has that ability. You can look for him as a number 10. You're always going to find his boot somewhere. And I think that is one of his abilities. Very clinical. His positioning is okay, and he is foundable. He is, you can find him, whenever you have the ball. And I think you can play him with with Martin Odegaard, and I think Mikel Arteta needs to do that. We need to find that kind of partnership that Dortmund found with him, between him and Hendrik Mkhitaryan. We just need to find that kind of that kind of partnership, because I think between them they scored 54 goals. If I'm not really mistaken, 54 goals between them. In their last season to Dortmund, before Hendrik Mkhitaryan moving to Manchester United, and then in the next January, Aubameyang moving to Arsenal. So you can see, and for me, Hendrik Mkhitaryan and Martin Odegaard, they simply give you the same thing. Give me the ball, I'll look for the boot of the striker. Give me the ball, I'll look for the back of the net. Give me the ball, I look for the player in the best position to unleash. And I think that is where Arsenal get it right when they bring in a player like Martin Odegaard. And that is where Mikel Arteta gets it wrong by leaving Martin Odegaard on the bench, because we really need that kind of creativity. There is no way we are playing a team like Aston Villa and we have a game changer, we have a game controller, and you leave him on the bench. It didn't make a lot of sense for me. And even in the second half, it really doesn't make a lot of sense for me when he actually brings him on, late. He should have brought him at 45 minutes. But, a lot of things have been said about Martin Odegaard and Arsenal. Well, I still think he is that kind of player that Arsenal need. So, there, Chris Whitley says a decision will be made to pursue him on a permanent, on a permanent when the loan deal actually spends. When the loan spell ends, it will be dependent on his performances. And I really believe in him as a player. I really think he's going to have those kind of performances that Arsenal have been looking for. I think he's that kind of player that will give Arsenal a lot of ability going forward. I mean, we have been going forward with Emily Smith-Rowe, and I don't know how Mikel Arteta is going to unleash these two, whether he's going to play them together or one is going to play in the in the position of the other. Emily Smith Rowe right now is a little bit tired. We should be seeing at least Martin Odegaard in the next two games, starting at least for at least an hour. Give him an hour if you feel that he's not ready. Give him an hour. You know, when a player starts a match, you know, things are different. You know, when you start a match, things are really, really different. And I think if he had started that Aston Villa game, maybe things could have been different for us. Maybe we could have controlled that game. Maybe if he had played against Wolves, maybe we could have created more clear-cut chances, and we could have scored more. Because for me, that's the problem with Arsenal. We create the chances, but they're not, at times they're not really clear-cut, and I really do not blame my my players for that. I mean, you know, at times my strikers, the chances at times are not really clear cut. And I told you we need to create chances that are replicable. We need to score goals that are replicable. And to do that, you need a player like Mesut Ozil. You need a player like Martin Odegaard. You need a player like Bruno Fernandes. Because look at if you look at all the goals that United scored against Everton, for example, they're replicable. Apart from that shot from Bruno Fernandes, that's a little bit, that doesn't come every day, does it? But Edison Cavani header, that's replicable. You can score. You know, we have seen players, you know, feed off such, you know, such crosses, game in, game out, and they're scoring goals. So I think we need to score replicable goals, and the only way we can score replicable goals is by getting in a player who can create replicable chances. Those chances, you know, I really miss it when. I really miss the Arsenal that used to create chances, 20 chances in a game, and 3 or 4 of them were sitters. But we rarely create, you know, sitters. You know, most of the chances we miss is Pepe trying to wrap his boot, or wrap his foot around the ball to look for, you know, the lower corner or, you know, the near post. Those are the chances we get. How about creating creating one-on-ones? If we can create one-on-ones, I think it's going to be better, and that's something we need to work on training. And Mikel Arteta knows that he needs to start unleashing these players. You need to start telling them, you know, how to create these one-on-one chances. But I think, well, those two players in my position, if you get Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Martin Odegaard, it would be a good transfer window. However, if we do not go for Calvert-Lewin, I won't be angry. I think I might say Arsenal should go for a player like Ødegaard. I really like Ødegaard. I really rate him a lot. And I think taking a gamble for Calvert-Lewin, which might be very expensive, you would rather go for a player like Ødegaard. My name is Kosi, and of course, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, smash a like. If you breathe oxygen, put a like on this video, please do. And of course, if you liked the content, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.